All right, guys, I want to talk to you. I'm sick and tired of hearing about this goddamn unemployment number. It's total bullshit. The way it's calculated is stupid. I think everybody knows that, but we still go by it as if it's some kind of official number. I can't figure that out for the life of me. So I wanted to kind of flip the script a little bit and talk about not the unemployment number, but the actual employment number, which is kind of disturbingly low. So I went to unemploymentdata.com.
Which technically, if you look at the actual employment number by figuring out subtracting that population from the total population, you will get the unemployment.
Yeah, exactly.
The actual unemployment rate.
And they don't do that.
But
they don't do that.
Of course they won't.
The way that they calculate it, they use hedonics to calculate it and all kinds of weird measurements.
So how many people are actually employed? Well, first off, what is it? Like, how many people live in the United States?
All right, it says here there are 318 million living in the United States.
Million live in the United States.
How about this? Guess what the employment number is. Just take a guess.
I'm guessing about 125 million.
Stay in the picture. 125 million?
175 million.
Actually, that's really close. 135 million as of August.
That's what I would guess. And you see, like, that would be like this horrific surprise to most people. And to me, it's like...
That's less than half.
To me, it's about right.
Are employed. That's like...
To me, it's about right.
And all you hear about is this 7% number, which is ridiculous. I mean, when you have a minimum wage... Right off the bat, when you have a minimum wage, you're going to have some level of unemployment.
And that's how they hedge the number by, like, fucking, we can't count people in prison because we're enslaving them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like,
we can't
count... You can't count people on welfare. It's unfair. You can't count people in the military.
Can't count people in war because we're enslaving them. And it's like, the people that were, like, have officially enslaved, like, don't count towards employment because they're not actually free anymore.
Exactly.
So, I guess that's what their message is.
Exactly. So, basically, that's why I want to... Stay in the picture. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys about this. All right, so 135 million people out of 318 million. That is not a good number. Okay, that is now when you think about it from I think the unemployment number was 7.1 recently, or 7.8. I'm sorry, because the way they calculate it's always a different thing. So let's say it's 8%. What does that number really mean? It's not representing anybody. All it really represents is what you can say for the stock market. And that's really all that they use it for. Whether the jobs number is good or the job number is bad, how the Fed calculates it, yada, yada, yada. But more importantly...
Well, honestly, when it comes down to it, you have to realize that number probably isn't meant for us anyway. That number's probably meant for big CEO head-ups on corporations that are probably trying to figure out a way to fucking change their
that's the whole idea,
quarterly profits.
The number, that's exactly. But it's just an official number that they go by that really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't represent anybody. It doesn't take into factor the U6 index, which basically says that if you're not looking for work anymore, you don't count. If you're
It's a general tool for bankers.
Yeah, but it's just... It means nothing, but they use it as a guideline. And all I'm saying is that things that are fake like that are stupid. It's stupid. I mean, to me, what speaks more to you? That 135 million people are working out of 318 million, supposed, versus 7.1% or 7.8%. It's a meaningless number. Now, more important than that is when it comes to people who are employed, you can't. I don't think that there is an accurate number when it comes to people who are gainfully employed. I've been looking for it. If you guys have it, please post it. I would love to see that. Like a number that suggests how many out of 135 million people or so are gainfully employed and not living paycheck by paycheck. That is, to me, like, people who are living on minimum wage, you can't make it on that. People who are...
Well, that's a hard number because then you're going to have people that argue
that. Well, that's what I'm saying, is that if you're going to spend time on a number, why not make it mean something? People who have excess income, people who are doing well, whether it's families or it's individuals, I don't care. But the way you calculate this stuff, you can lie with statistics very easily, is all I'm saying. And I'm trying to stir up the debate. Also, I'd love to see somebody provide me with some solid evidence on how many people are gainfully employed. That means so much more to me than somebody who's living in a car, working at.
Well, to me,
Burger.
like as soon as you use the word gainfully, like you're never going to get anywhere.
But we can't get an accurate number on unemployment.
But the word gainfully could be like interpreted like on a full spectrum itself. So like right as soon as you add the word gainfully, like you're never going to get anything.
People who aren't living. All right, you know what? You're right. It's all vague. He's making a good point. I think I'm wrong. I think you're right. What I'm trying to say is that how do we calculate the amount of people who are making it? How do you, like, gainfully employed? How do you calculate the amount of people who?
Well, to me, it would be a simple equation. All right, basically, like you have people needs.
Ain't broke.
You have needs. You have food. You have shelter. You have clothing. All right. Now you would have to average out what the average human being. You would have to take the median and the average of every human being of the amount of the monetary value that it takes for them to eat on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, however time it is, like, however you want to pay these people, whatever it is. You have to figure out exactly what the food, shelter, and clothing is on average and median for the average or median person, right? Then you would have to basically, like, what was the word that you were using before? You want to
gainfully employed?
Yeah, you want to find out who's gainfully employed, right? So yeah, I forget about that. So like, the gainful employment, the people that are gainfully employed are the ones that are able to pull in the monetary figure of what you would add together for food, shelter, and clothing. And then still be able to have excess
homes,
and excess income for anything that would be not a need, because those things are the needs. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, I would find anybody that would be hard pressed to argue with that. You know what I mean?
That's fair enough, but like, I don't see anybody really calculating that. It's harder to find the unemployment.
There we go. I just created it. You know, but nobody goes out of the way to try to create shit like that. You don't see like somebody like, hey, let's figure out what like the normal human being needs to live monetarily,
and how to best make it so that,
and then show how 95% of the United States doesn't have that.
But that's what I live. You're like, that's exactly my point.
And then like prove it, like
that's exactly. You're leading to my next point. Thank you. Which is basically that, in my perspective, and I don't have a number. Okay, I don't, and this is where you're free to argue me, but I think that number is dwindling. That is my theory. And I think that the number is getting smaller and smaller of whatever you would consider gainful employment, middle class, however you want to codify it. I don't care. But I think that number is dwindling, and I think that I know why. That's why I wrote my book. And I think that it's a horrible thing. And I think we're going backwards. That's really my point. Because what it really comes down to is that people can't survive anymore. I don't know how people are making it at this point. I don't. How a family of four, where the median income is, say, $50,000, and the taxes on your, like where we live on Long Island, the taxes on a house can be like $25,000 a year, and you still have shitty roads. Like,
well, you're not gonna make it by owning, because like by owning, like once you own it, like you have to pay literally the same amount. You have to pay the same amount as somebody that rents anyway.
Yeah. And we live in,
and now you're held, and now since you do that, now you're held to the land financially, and now you can't escape. Now you can no longer leave that land, or because you have to maintain it. And it's like it's a good way of like fucking basically like making you think that you have some kind of freedom. It's like, oh, you get to own your land,
but you don't, because you have to pay taxes on it. And if you don't, they kick you out.
You have to pay at least fucking $10,000, almost $1,000 a month, bare minimum, like.
Yeah, I live in a small house. He squats in a small house. But the people who own the houses have to pay, $12,000 a year just to keep the house. How is that sustainable? That is completely unsustainable. Am I wrong?
What, the $12,000 tax?
The fact that you have to pay more, you have to pay like $1,000 a month to live in a house that you're already paying several $1,000s a month to live in.
I think it's all ridiculous. Like I said the other night, when it goes back to the fucking, like, like college, you fucking, the amount of money it costs to fucking pay for college, you're never going to make back with the career you get from it for 75% of the fucking jobs a college degree offers you. So why the fuck is a college degree allowed to offer you a college degree for that money then? What makes that legal? You know what I mean? Like why is
What do you mean what makes that legal? Because the government, the reason why college degrees are so expensive is because government intervention. The government came in, started backing all of these loans that nobody can pay back, and it drove up the cost of tuition. And that's what happens when there's government intervention. There's always going to be an increase.
But to eliminate that whole government, all right. But I'm not like I understand that. But at the same time, it's like the government intervened, and the reason the kids can't pay back the loans isn't because of the government. The kids can't pay back the loans because the kids can't make the fucking money to fucking... No, they could get a job, but it's not going to pay them the amount of money the education costs.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The cost of the education has skyrocketed. It's going up 500% in 10 years. If it was still, $2,000 a semester to go to school for a good school like it was several years ago.
Because people...
They can pay it back.
Because people are paying taxes for scholarships for kids that are getting fucking careers that can't pay back their fucking loans.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing backwards. Like,
we're saying the exact... I know we're saying the same exact thing. Like, what I'm saying is that, like,
I feel like you're
right.
arguing me, though.
No, I know. I'm fucking getting adamant about it, and I'm not arguing you. I'm just saying, like, they're the same thing, but it's just, like, the government isn't...
The government isn't what?
I'm just trying to think of, like, what I'm trying to say.
All right, so you think what you have to say, but in my opinion, government intervention in education, much like healthcare, causes the initial rise in the price, and then afterwards, everybody looks at it and goes like, "Oh, we need to socialize it. Wow, that's an intelligent comment," and it passes off as this smug, fucking smart thing to say because what you hear in school, it's not smart. The whole problem was government in the first place. You can't use the same level of thinking that got you into a problem to get you out of it. That's called stupid. That's called a mistake. But for some reason, we're adamant about doing that over and over again. So you have things like education and healthcare and real estate, and the prices of everything goes to the roof artificially because of government, and then people buy houses at the top of the market. They go to school at the greatest schools, and they can't find a fucking job, and it costs $30,000 to spend a night in the hospital when you overdose on Delsin.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Probably like more than that.
Oh, okay.
But if you read the papers, you would know. I just throw those out. So to get back to what I was gonna say before, like how are you like our whole dude, my head, I've got like fucking 5 inches from the end of the thing over here.
No, I know you're out of it and you're dark on this side.
Oh, cause it's probably because
I think
it's the lighting more.
It is. We have shitty lighting here, which is fine. But we have no other place to film, so I'm not knocking your house.
No, I hear you. I just didn't realize.
Yeah, now
that's really more what it is. It's the lighting.